In favor of the motion, please say aye. Motion passed unanimously. All right, approval of the order of agenda.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. Approval of the consent agenda, bills, employee status changes, overtime, October financial report, and bonds for check reissue.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. All right, we have a few citizen comments. I will call you up, and just as a reminder, we do have a 5-minute time limit that I'd like you to adhere to. The first is Bob Cowger. Mr. Cowger. Hi.
Hello.
Hello there.
Good afternoon. I was here back in July speaking to you about pilot and TIF money given to private developers, and I'm back again to discuss the same issue. As a taxpaying citizens of Grand Forks County, I'm asking you to reject the pilot funding for Brookstone. The idea of giving private developers Grand Forks County taxpayer funds is very disappointing. That you would even consider this plan while Grand Forks County is over budget, underwater, and this would be completely financially irresponsible. The last thing that the Grand Forks County taxpayers need is more tax burden while helping private developers with their projects. Of course, the city of Grand Forks will come up and tell you everything is all roses and everything, and it really isn't. I had very difficult time believing the statements from the city of Grand Forks in regard to vacancy rates. So I just dug into it myself, and the first meeting in regard to the pilot for Northridge, we were told by the city staff that vacancy rates were 1.3 to 2%. The very next meeting, we were told that by Mr. Phelan that after checking with the city's multifamily partners, we're actually below 1%. Well, then after that, 2 weeks later, when he answered a question to Mr. Veen at the council, he just said that vacancy rates don't matter anymore. Just made a statement. So I kind of wonder what this whole program is about. We're giving money to the developers wherever they want to locate in town, and we're not even asking any questions. There's no qualifications. There's nothing. So I was kind of surprised about this vacancy rate, and I found, and I have the information here, and I will email it to everyone. In 2021, the vacancy rate across the city, only the city of Grand Forks, I'm not including any East Grand Forks information, so it stays right here. The vacancy rate was 7.45%. In 2022, it was 5.16%. In 2023, it was 5.19%. 2024, it was 4.83%. And these numbers are directly from the Grand Forks Apartment Association. So we're getting as much information as we can that's compiled to the people that report. There's 11,300 units. When they did Northridge, they tested 876 units and came up with 1.3 to 2%. Now, we all know that we can make numbers look like whatever we want, right? Well, I think the actual numbers from the Apartment Association say quite a bit. When the city's claiming we're at 1.3 or 2%, and the actual numbers come at 7.45 to 4.83 over the last 4 years. I mean, we can go out longer, we can extrapolate it, but it's not changing. 5% is a healthy number. That's what we found. We've been here for 33 years doing construction, development, and owning properties. And I don't even have a clue where this whole idea of giving developers money came from. I mean, I've got an idea, but I don't understand. Why are developers all of a sudden coming to the city, to the county, to the school district? The county currently, I don't know what your budget is, but are we around $2.5 million upside down? Somewhere there? The school district is $4.5 million in debt right now. We can't be giving away money to private developers. We get nothing for it. And although they may say, oh, in 5 years or 20 years or whatever, you'll get your money. I'm like, 20 years, that's a long time. Plus, then you're penalizing anyone else that has multifamily, anybody that has let's say $1,000 unit for rent. Let's say Brookstone has $1,000 unit for rent. Well, what, bless you. Why are you compensating a different developer versus one that has been here for 25, 35 years? This makes absolutely no sense. We have never asked for anything. This is just, to me, this program is ridiculous. I mean, asking the taxpayers to pay for your own private development that only the private developer benefits from. The county, the city, the school district is getting nothing back on this. You may in 20 years. But 20 years is a hell of a long time when we're 4.5 million upside down at the school district. County, 2.5, I don't know. I haven't heard the last number. Can anybody tell us? Nope, okay.
I can
Anyway.
tell you we raised taxes and we spent $700,000 of cash reserves for daily operational expenses.
Right. So to ask, to come as a developer, to ask the taxpayers to fund your project is beyond me. I'm all for development. I love development. That's how we made money. But we didn't come and ask anybody for it. And I think it's just in bad form. I think also has nothing to do with the county here, but when the president of the city council disparages, demeans, and basically shreds people on the city podcast, calling me personally a slumlord, we have a bunch of crappy apartments. How is this encourage anyone to give their input? All you do is get shredded, not by the county, by the city, who is the biggest push behind this. And I remember at the last meeting, Ms. Hagan, you said you wanted to listen to the city to be a good partner. Good partners don't give you bad information. They don't. Thank you.
I believe Mary Kopanen. I'm sorry, I might not have gotten your last name right.
Good evening. I'm Mary Kaponen. I live in Grand Forks. I am opposed to the Brookstone apartment bid for 20 years free tax on the increase in their property value. I believe that it is wrong to give these tax breaks to apartments. It's okay to give them to a business like a Gristo. Maybe Cirrus is going to get one. I'm not sure. They're expanding. That's exactly what these tax breaks are for. In my experience living in other states, The only time they're used for apartments is when they're doing a blighted slum area, an area that's really gone downhill and they're trying to revitalize it. You don't just do apartments in a healthy city like Grand Forks. I want to counter the city's claims in support of this. They claim it's a win-win and it's not going to cost anybody anything, especially us homeowners. Not a penny is what Dana Sandy said. And I counter that because this amounts to a more than $13 million of a tax break just for Brookstone. Already we have Memorial 1 and 2. We have Northridge getting 100%. I believe one of those, Franklin on 5th, has 100% for 20. That's a lot of different apartments. We have Ray Richards coming up. We have Domain and Beacon. And all of these they're pushing 100% tax breaks for a lot of years. I hope that you vote against this because all these tax breaks, giving $13 million to Brookstone, giving $2.5 million to Northridge, and I don't even know what the other ones are. It's ridiculous. I object to that. It doesn't take a mental giant to understand that if they're not paying tens of millions, or even maybe if these keep getting past 100 million, less in taxes over these 15 years, 20 years, we're going to end up having to have our taxes raised sooner and much higher. So please vote against this. Oh, and I also wanted to say the answer to this for the city or for Brookstone is to get more investors. I don't understand why all these developers are saying we can't build this without 20 years and 100%. And then, for example, Northridge took 5 years and 100%. So they found more investors, and that should be the answer that they're given instead of being offered a free ride for 20 years. Thank you.
Mona?
Can you all hear me? Good afternoon, Commissioners. My job is easy. Bob and Mary did an excellent job, and mine's going to be very brief. I want to state that I am here to speak against 8A, the 20-year, 90% Brookstone pilot. I have a few quick points to make. Number one, I'm still absolutely opposed to giving any tax pilots to apartment developers. I spoke against the first pilot for the Reserve by Northridge development at a prior commission meeting on July 15th. I maintain that taxpayers should not subsidize apartment developers. It's not our job. These pilots are ridiculous when it comes to developers. Let the system work. I just want to point out one thing also with Brookstone. It's applying for federal as well as state funding, and yet they're coming to the county. That says something. Plus, they are, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, misrepresenting these apartments as low income. The rates I saw seem to be moderate. And I'm not saying we don't need moderate priced. I'm just saying this may be a misrepresentation to get tax dollars. Finally, and this is a good point. I'm here. The main reason I'm speaking today is I want to thank you. I want to go on record for thanking you as commissioners for being prudent when the first pilot was brought before you. You proved that you were thoughtful with taxpayer dollars. And it proved to be a big, big win for taxpayers, as well as your future income in the county. It's very important to be prudent with the taxpayers' money. I'm all for development, but again, I want to thank you. And sometimes we dwell on the negative, but this is a positive. I saw how you responded. I appreciate it. And I thank all the people that are listening out here and viewing this tonight. Appreciate it too. In closing, I again ask that you remain prudent and vote no on this pilot and future pilots for apartment developers. Thank you for your time.
And we will move on to Human Service Zone. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to request the approval to purchase a vehicle. I believe you've been provided a quote from Nelson Auto Center to purchase a 2026 van. I would be looking to replace a vehicle. Not exactly sure which one yet. It depends on, it's one of my oldest ones, depending upon how it's doing and that sort of thing. And so I guess that's why I look to approval from all of you to do that.
That off the state bid?
Yes,
That price?
yes, it is.
And Tammy, that's in your budget right now for this year, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And it's been approved by DHHS as
Okay.
well.
Move approve.
Second.
Excuse me. We have a first and a second. Is there any further comments? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Mr. Phelan, I think you're up next.
Madam Chair, members of the County Commission, and my name is Todd Phelan. I represent the city of Grand Forks. I'm the city administrator. So we do have a project in front of you. There was a local government advisory committee about a week or so ago. Mr. Commissioner Bierke attended on behalf of Grand Forks County. We also had representatives from Grand Forks, City of Grand Forks and our council, and also the school board. So the project that's in front of you, we did provide some updates on other projects that we're working on. I did update that the project, the domain that we had briefed, and that was going to be a market rent apartment around 47th Avenue, in and around where the new Hugos would go. That project is on hold because it's not financially viable. So we're not going to receive any incremental tax value on that until that. So no, we're not giving them anything. And again, we're not going to receive any revenue. The other project we had briefed prior is Kingsview, was another development that was considered. That's on hold also. Again, that will provide, it's on hold, so it'll provide no additional revenue for any of the taxing entities. We are working on Beacon, and we did brief that project. And if that project does come back, I think it's proposed as an 80% 15-year pilot. Right now, it's an 80% 25-year TIF bond from the city of Grand Forks. So if that project does move forward, it will only provide additional revenue to all the taxing entities. So that would truly be a win from what is currently there. So the city's working with the developer on how we can move that project forward, to be determined when and if that project moves forward. What we heard from both the county commission and the school board is you're not interested in engaging anything further on 5 years on tax incentives for market rate apartments. So message received. You were interested in considering low and moderate income housing projects, and that's the one we have in front of you today, being the Brookstone Apartments. Also here with me today is Curtis Regan on behalf of the developer, and he'll brief the project itself too. So this one's different because there's a layer of federal tax credits, there's local or state tax credits, and then there's this proposed 20-year 90% pilot. The 20 years would, we're saying up to 20 years, but the year amount would be tied to the federal and state tax credits. Right now, they're proposed to, I think Curtis will come up here and talk to you about this, probably in and around 15 years. So when those tax credits go off, the pilot incentive would go off also. And so if it goes to 20 years, that's the max we can do on a pilot. So it's really an attempt to grow our low and moderate income units in our community that where there's a waiting list. So that's really the intent as part of this project. The project is east of Furniture Row. Did go through planning and zoning this summer to turn it into strictly commercial so that it could be a multifamily unit. So that went through planning and zoning, and the city council did approve the rezoning of that particular project. They did submit all their paperwork, and so the city council did review it. Baker Tilly did review this project. And the incentive with the federal and state tax credits, it was proposed as a 90% up to 20 years for a pilot. With that, we looked at, what kind of coverage this project would have. And with that, it's about a 1.1 coverage. And for a project to be viable or bankable, it needs to be over 1. So most projects you want to be around 1.2 with some flexibility. And so that's how we got to the 90% tax incentive on this particular project. I think Mr. Regan will come up here. If he does not receive, this project does not receive these federal and state tax credits, my guess is this project is not viable with or without the pilot incentive. One of the questions that the city did have, with this low and moderate income housing project is how is it going to be maintained? What kind of services are going to be provided on this project so that we just don't build a project in a strategic area of Grand Forks, on the south end of Grand Forks, without having it to be built appropriately, without being maintained, and without having appropriate services. And so he'll come up and talk about those particular areas. He'll talk about the various reserve requirements that they need. They can only increase rents so much, so it's not a market rate. They're restricted on, their bond financing. They're restricted on rent increases, and so he'll come back and why we're proposing this 90% kind of flat across the board, because they are restricted in how they can raise certain things. The project right now, we estimate, I think it's a $40 million plus project, all told. Our city assessing department has valued it from a taxable value as a $26 million project. That would be $1.3 million on the land and 24.7 on the improvement. So that $26 million is, again, an incremental increase in what the property value is. And so that's when we talk about the pilot and the 90% exemption, that's on the new value that we're being created. Right now, that $26 million plus is not on that site right now, okay? So if this project doesn't move forward, there is no additional tax revenue, whether it's exempted at 90% or not. So that's important to know. We're not giving anybody anything. So with that, we did some calculations on the over a 5-year period, what's the incremental amount of additional tax revenue we're going to get on this $26 million project. Over 5 years, that would be additional revenue of $315,000. Over the 10-year period, which is, times 2, would be $647,000. And then over that 20-year period of time, the additional taxable revenue, that increment would be $1.3 million. If you take it over 30 years, and then obviously after the 20 years, year 21 to 30, there is no tax incentive. The additional incremental tax revenue that's brought in on this project is $6.8 million. So whatever happens, whether this project gets approved and it gets built, it's only going to add to the tax revenue. It's not going to take from any of the issues. So if people are concerned about the school board and their $4.5 million, these projects are only going to add to their revenue. And it certainly is not going to give a 100% up front. But if we don't give any incentives, none of these projects happen, and we don't have low and moderate income housing in our community, and we don't have additional tax revenue from these projects. It did go through, as I said, on Monday, November 10th, we went through the Local Government Advisory Committee, got a general positive review since it's low and moderate income. The school board said that they would take a serious look at this because it kind of fits into what they requested. I'm never going to presuppose that I'll ever convince Commissioner Bierke, knowing him from my city council days, that he'll vote to approve a tax incentive, because it's part of his principles not to do that. But we did have a good meeting. I think Mr. Bierke will testify that it was a good briefing. We did have Michaela Hewitt there from Baker Tilly to go over the financials on the particular project. So we're here on Tuesday, November 18th to have this reviewed with you. Next week on Monday, November 24th, we'll be at the school board. And then finally, it comes back to the city council for the final public hearing on Monday, December 1st, for a final review and approval. And so what we're asking are all the taxing entities to participate in this. I think the county is about 24% of the tax bill. The city of Grand Forks is about 26%. I think the school district or school board's about 38%. And then the balance is made up of the park district, and whatever the city decides, the park district comes along with the city. So that's what we're here in front of you today. And I would really like to ask Mr. Reagan to come up and talk about the project and this opportunity that we have.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time today. We have a couple slides. I don't know if you can pull those up. We can roll through a little bit of that. As we go, if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me and we can address them. First thing I want to highlight is just a couple of the main basics of the project. It's 160 units. All of them are going to be affordable. They are in the more moderate levels. None of them are in the really low 20, 30% area median income levels. They're all 40 to 60%. So they are moderates. The last page, once we get there, has some average rents that we can go over. But for the meantime, no, they're kind of in that moderate range. We're utilizing a couple programs like Todd alluded to. The low income housing tax credit is a federal program that we're using. These are tax credits that we'll receive from the federal government that we will then sell to an investor who will provide the equity for the project. This allows us to have lower debt on the project, which makes something like this even begin to be feasible. The other one will be the HIF program through the North Dakota Housing Finance Agency, and we've been working with them over the last week here. Those applications were due at the end of September, sorry. And we've been working with them for the last week to go through how we're going to get this project done. They're really adamant about getting this project moving. They really like this. It really hits their goals and needs of what they want to see come to North Dakota in particular. And it would be a really good thing from Grand Forks from their point of view. So they've been really adamant about trying to get this done. Like I said, 100% of the units are going to be restricted by both income and rent. So the rent will only be able to charge so much based on how HUD calculates the area median income and then bases the rent off that at 40, 50, and 60%. What we're really targeting here, young professionals, teachers, recent college graduates, some of those are what we're going after. This will have a blend of some of those maybe levels of income and then the lower ones at 40, which will probably be probably a little below what they qualify for. Let's see. Okay, a couple reasons why affordable housing projects are difficult and why we're here today asking for a pilot. We're capped on our income, like I mentioned. Those income levels only increase so much annually. Typically, it's in the 1% range, whereas market rate rents, you might see 2, 3, maybe even higher percent increase depending on the property. With that, we still have the same increases in expenses. Our expenses are still going to increase annually, just like a market rate one would, regardless of our lower increase in income. So it makes it a harder project to support in longer term, as we don't have that net income increase over the course of 10, 20 years. We also need to fix our interest rate on this project. The tax credit investor, the investor who will come in and buy these tax credits will put some restrictions on us. One of those being we need to fix our interest rate for 15 years. So if rates come down in the next 2-3 years, that's not something we're going to be able to refinance out of and benefit from. We're going to be tied to this interest rate we get now for 15 years. we're not having a ton of amenities in this building. Obviously, it's affordable housing. We're not really putting anything fancy in here. They're going to be nice units. Matt Construction is going to be the contractor. They just did a nice project up in Grafton that we're going to model this after a lot. We can get you guys some information on those units. They're built really well. Really, they're nice new units, but they're, we don't have amenities. We don't have anything crazy. We're going to have a on-site leasing office. We might have an outdoor dog park, but that's about the extent of it. Couple other things limiting our income here. The HIF program does have clawbacks if you hit a 1.3 debt coverage ratio. Todd talked a little bit about what our target is here, and most projects target a 1.2. 1.2 is not feasible with a project like this. 1.15 is where we need to get, where the banks will allow, where they'll finance this project. We need to be at 1.15. Right now we're right there with this 90% pilot. And I don't see that growing over the course of 20 years, but if it does and we get to 1.3 and it's going really well, HIF is going to come and claw some of their money back from us. Then the last thing, we have increased fees and compliance monitoring on this, a lot of associated costs that go into not only acquiring these tax credits, but also maintaining them and recertifying them annually. Couple other things to touch on, just project preservation. Affordable housing maybe has a couple, maybe a bad reputation, maybe some concerns in terms of the tenants there and the longevity of a property like that. The low-income housing tax credit program does require 6 months of reserves upfront that need to be funded. That includes principal and interest. For this project, that comes out to about $1 million upfront funding of a reserve account. And then we contribute to that annually $400 per unit. A couple other things we'll do, we'll have on-site property management, on-site maintenance staff. This will help deter some of the negativities, help stay on top of maintenance issues. Then the last thing will be a service coordinator. We're working with a lot of local nonprofits. We've worked with the VA, with United Way, and a couple others to have a service coordinator on site for so many hours a week. They might be meeting with some of their clients who live in our building. They might be providing other services. That'll be a mix of things, but we'll have people on site providing services. Maybe we have an on-site job fair. There'll be a lot of different things that we do on site to support our tenants. The last page just goes over some of our average rents. One thing I want to point out is that these rents, the numbers you see, include a utility allowance. So this is the maximum out-of-pocket dollar that the tenants will pay. These are the averages. Our lows, I'll just go through those really quick. On our efficiencies, the low is 731. The 3 bedrooms, the low is 1086. The high numbers are 1,096 for the efficiencies and 1,600 for 3 bedrooms. Again, those numbers include utility allowances, so it's the maximum out-of-pocket dollar for the tenants. That's all that I have for you. Are there any questions for me?
Yes, the 160 units that you're talking about, I'm assuming, I'm making an assumption. Do you have any that would fall under HUD housing vouchers?
Yes. Yep. About 20% of them.
Okay, and they would meet the whatever HUD puts as fair market rent for Grand
Correct.
Forks.
Yep. Yep. And we are working with the Housing Authority to tie some project-based vouchers to this. That's up to the Housing Authority and their ability to assign those. They're working on some projects of their own. Maybe we get them, maybe we don't. Either way, tenants will be able to use vouchers for this project. Yep. For about
Okay.
20%.
And then this is being looked at, did Todd say east of Furniture Row?
Yep. Correct.
Okay, are there streets and infrastructure there right
Yeah,
now?
all infrastructure is there. As part of our applications, we had to verify with all utility providers that it's there and ready to be accessed.
So there would nothing that would need to be added by the city, lights, streets, plumbing?
correct.
All that stuff is
Yep,
there?
it's all there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess my only question that comes to mind is school. I know Discovery is
Mhm.
a high populated school right now.
Yep.
And what does that look like?
Yeah, I know that's going to be an issue for the school district. It's something that was brought up when we were at the local government advisory committee last week. I know Brandon Bombach and The superintendent are looking into that. It's a problem they're going to face sooner than later. The comment from a couple of their members who were there was it wasn't a reason for them to say no to this project, but it's something they need to obviously consider. I agree. It is in the Discovery School District, which is already overwhelmed. The one thing I will say, it's probably 3 years until these units are open. I think they're probably going to be looking at solutions in that time frame anyways, but that's not my decision to make.
Do these units have garages or no?
Yeah, we'll build about 32 garages. I think that's the number. That might change depending on how the site plan finalizes. They won't be assigned to the units. They'll be available for tenants to rent if they want to.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go back to the last slide where it shows the cost of the units per month. So you're saying that this is for individuals who are in the low income bracket, but just slightly higher, people who are college educated, just getting into college. Why not target the individuals who are actually struggling? Is that just not feasible within? So for example, I work with individuals who are homeless. And so when they're getting vouchers from the housing authority, on average, we're lucky if they're covering $800 a month,
Yeah.
if that. And a lot of my individuals have disabilities. I mean, when I think low income, I think of people who are on the streets, they can't afford food. I don't think of a college graduate, someone who's college educated.
That's a great question. What this project has always been is moderate income. We're not targeting the really low income. Ideally, in a perfect world, this will open up some of those units that are on the low income side. I know the governor is trying to address this right now. He actually appointed me to the Council for Homelessness that he announced on Friday. So I'll be working on that. I agree. This project does not directly get people off the street out of homelessness. What it hopefully does is open up some of those units or be a second step for some of those people. Correct. It isn't feasible with the funds that are available right now. That's something that I'll be addressing on that homelessness council to try and make projects like this more feasible for those low income levels.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, good. It's a good question, something that it's important to discuss and we'll be hopefully working on at the state level and the local level for the next few years.
So can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Just so I make sure I understand. You said, it's hard to hear back here.
Yeah, sorry.
You said that you needed money to buy down the interest rates because you got to lock them for 15 years to be able to sell the tax credits, right?
No, not exactly. No,
Okay,
no,
so-
the tax credits provide the equity for the project,
Right.
which allows us to have less debt. So it'll provide about 50% of the equity. So we'll have, 50% debt instead of 80 on the project.
What was the 15 years part?
That's the
In order to
affordability
sell,
period.
You have to lock, you have to guarantee the rate.
In order to sell the credits, yes, we need to guarantee the rate.
Okay.
These investors who are buying the tax credits, it'll be a larger bank. It'll be an RBC, a US bank, something like that. They require us to do that. They want stability in the project so that they don't lose their tax credits. They want to know that if this works year 1, it's going to work year 15. So they just want it fixed so they know what's going to happen for the next 15 years.
Right, so my next question is, how much of the funds from the pilot do you use to lock your interest rates?
None.
None?
No. We don't receive any funds from the pilot. We receive a decreased property tax bill,
Well, essentially.
which decreases our expenses and increases our NOI
Question.
and gets us to our debt coverage ratio that we
Okay.
need.
Yep, got it.
All right, is there any,
This is just a comment, and this isn't specifically to this project, but I find it ironic that the Bank of North Dakota is one of the richest banks in this country. And the Bank of North Dakota should really be looking at housing for all sorts of people in our state, whether it be veterans, senior citizens, low income, homeless, everything. And they should be coming across with very low interest rates. They can do it if they want to, but they don't. And that's inappropriate because this bank has such a high number. They go after college students all of the time, all over the country, offering student loans, but the interest rates are high. This state really needs to push the Bank of North Dakota to say, what about housing for people in this state? We want to do everything else. We want to be out there. Granted, they did low income for farmers that lost elevators this last year. There shouldn't have been a percentage rate of interest for those farmers. They didn't want that storm to come and take away their storage facilities. But really, a 2% loan, it should have been 0. There's no reason for that. And I implore all of you citizens and us as a commission to go after our legislators and the Bank of North Dakota for start sticking up for people in our state instead of continuing to add and to grow the amount of money that is in that bank. That is inexcusable.
Thank you, Commissioner Pick. I hope that that's something we can address with the governor's council that he announced on Monday or Friday. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Mr. Phelan, did you have any other comments that you wanted to add? It's my understanding that you're looking for a motion to approve this. Okay. What say the board? Hmm? Yeah. Jane.
For me, it's a hair long.
Too long of a time frame.
Mm-hmm.
Comments? Nothing? Go ahead.
The one thing I forgot to mention, Todd brought up briefly, the low-income housing tax credit program is a 15-year term. At that point, every project's a little different. You don't really know how that's going to play out. If at any point we decide to drop the low income or the affordability, the rent control on this property, the pilot will also terminate. So if at 15 years we decide we're not going to do affordable housing, those last 5 years we would go to full property tax.
Commission, I think as part of our development agreement, it would be approved up to 20 years, but tied to these credits. So when those credits go away, if they go away in 15 years, this pilot would then extinguish at that point in time too. So that's how the development agreement would be approved by the city council via our city attorney.
Is there a motion on the floor? Anybody wants to?
Madam Chair, I guess I would like to make a motion to not approve the pilot program.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
Um,
Ma'am, sorry.
it's my recollection that we have to cite a reason in our response to the
Do
city.
you want to add that into your motion?
Well, I just think the 20-year incentive, I mean, I'll be dead in 20 years, so yeah. So it's like we'll never see the full tax dollars. So I just have a hard time with these pilot programs. And for that reason, that's why I make this motion.
Yeah, I think the length is a little much, but I understand that. All right. Does that suffice to Ms. Swanson? Okay. Director of Facilities, all right.
Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to give an update on Pod 1 as I've been working with Sheriff Schneider on very comprehensive go through of the pod as far as for repairs and maintenance and upkeep on it. September 26th, Corrections moved the inmates out of Pod 1. We were able to get started in there after October 1st, as was originally planned. They had a population issue, is why they vacated early out of there. Just as a high overview of what we've done in there and the amount of hours spent in there by staff, by facility staff, we didn't involve a whole lot of support from correction staff on any of this in Pod 1, but we spent a total of 618 hours worked in Pod 1 between nine of my staff. Of those 618 hours, 269 were logged as overtime, 349 were spent on standard clock hours that deviated their duties from regular duties. Consequently, in the last 7 weeks, then we've felt that not only within the buildings downtown, but there as well, that we have some catch up to do on our PM and our tasks involved because of the amount of hours that we've put just concentrating on Pod 1. We're working on that. Sheriff Schneider and I have had some fairly frank conversations on some of the reasons why we're in the situation we're in the correctional center right now. Some of it's attributed to a number of reasons. Some issues Sheriff Schneider's working on, some maybe not here anymore. But as we discussed, there's still some culture change in order to make sure that what we've done for accomplishment, we hope that culture change and accountability continues out there so that this isn't a short-term work that was done as far as seeing the improvements that were done. What we did, we did a thorough, very intensive deep clean, brushed, scrubbed ceilings, walls, doors, and mild acid etched all the walls and ceilings for epoxy paint adhesion. Floors were, of course, machine scrubbed at the completion of the project. We did a complete retrofit in Pod 1 of lighting. There was some efforts to do some relamping and updating out there. However, a lot of ballast and transformer use was still put in place. Everything is brought to energy standards now for ballast bypass, direct wire, low voltage LED lighting. So Pod 1 is completely low voltage LED lighting now. That complete repaint of walls, doors, showers of epoxy paint. The guard station cabinets were gone through. Drawers, countertop damages were repaired. Hinges were repaired. Drawers that were destroyed from using as footstools or footholds for lounging behind the stations were removed and repurposed in different functions. Door latches, closers, glass that was damaged from inmates were either adjusted, repaired, or replaced. Every drain line in Pod 1, 42 drain lines in the 24 congregate unit or pod unit living were punched out with a 5/8 butterfly anchor 50-foot auger. That's the only contracted labor that we hired out because we don't have a snake that big. Several unmentionables were pulled back on the hooks of those claws. The rest were probably pushed into the 8-inch main, so they'll be caught out in the street at that point. So hopefully we have good flowing drain water leaving there. We went through shower timers, hot and cold regulators, flush heads, verified operations, and repaired the failed ones. This, of course, doesn't mean that every one is going to be brand new and repaired in those cases, because to give you an example, a shower timer for a detention facility, a replacement is $1,400. We don't replace them, we rebuild them. A toilet flush component with limited flush timing on it is $800. We don't replace them, we rebuild them if they're not working. So we went through those that weren't working properly to the tune of about $100 a piece on those. Total money spent between overtime and materials in That pod was $38,602.69. We drew most of those funds from a $30,000 building improvement line item that we have regularly in the correction facility. So yes, $8,602 is not covered. We need to find that elsewhere. Sheriff Schneider and I have been talking. We know that he's very solvent with wages. In fact, that he's been so shorthanded in covering that, and that's why we've been able to work on these pods. My desire with discussion with Sheriff Schneider is that we can pay that deficit of that line item with wages, as well as look to breaking into whichever next pod they can shift inmates over to and work in there. Timeline might get stretched longer, especially in the winter, due to our objective focus. If we get a heavy snow winter, that creates a lot of overtime as well. So I can't exhaust every ounce of energy that my guys would have, along with the fact that we all have full-time jobs already to do. So pod 2 is worse than pod 1. I'm speculating that's a $45,000 to $50,000 budget line item there. We have a renewing line item, January 1, that building improvement fund of $30,000. We can draw off of that after January 1, but we need to, we're seeking, my request, as well as in discussion with Sheriff Schneider, is that we're seeking a budget amendment to be able to draw into that building improvement line item to pay this deficit, as well as to get started on the next pod.
Move approve.
What are we approving?
Budget
amendment,
How much?
8,000 for this pod and
Another
up,
another 20 at least for the
And
next
from
one.
where?
staff that don't exist.
I'm just making sure we got bases covered.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, thanks for an opportunity to just talk about it quick. I did speak with Miss Olson in the sheriff's office, who was evaluating our budget at the correctional center specifically. As of this month, we should be at approximately 83% of our budget. Smile and nod. And we are currently sitting at approximately 80% of our budget at the jail. So we should be able to find the funds, move and navigate line items. And I believe that Ms. Olson will be able to work with Ms. Morstead on that, if needed. Just to further a little bit of what Bill stated and not to drag it on too long, we have a short window of opportunity right now, I believe, to make repairs that are in dire need in this facility. If we don't want to be forced to shut this a pod or two down in the future to make fixes that we could have remedied right now. The reason for that is we're currently, as you're all well aware, a little bit short on staff. But we are taking some unique opportunities right now to get our staffing level up. And I have strong hopes and desires that at the latest, hopefully fingers crossed, February 1, we'd be able to operate all 4 pods with full staff, give or take a few. So I don't know how long this opportunity will pose itself, what it would look like moving into the future if we tried to extend this further into next year, is some unique housing adjustments, maybe not taking in more inmates that we could be getting paid for when we are full staffed. You're all well aware there's 4 pods there and we're only talking about 2 right now. So there is one that would still need to be looked at. That does provide opportunities with the way that's set up, where we could potentially navigate that a little easier than this current pod, which is the same size as pod 1. So that's why we're looking at potential budget amendments at this point. So Mr. Grishesky and his crew can continue to work through. It's fresh in their minds. I'm sure they'll get it done quicker than the last one, even if it is a bigger problem. But we do have a small window of opportunity here, in my opinion.
So I just want to so it was for 38,000 from the jail's current budget. Is that correct?
It'd be 8,000 additional dollars beyond the 30 that was currently budgeted for. And then to get a head start on next year,
Okay,
My understanding is they would take it from salaries that are budgeted for that those people don't exist.
I got that, but what's the total number?
8 plus 20, so 28.
So we're looking for a motion for 28,000 from the current correctional center's budget.
From 2025, yeah.
Okay.
Because we'd refresh in 2026.
Okay. Is that the motion?
I think
Just before you make that. Just so you understand with that motion, that would then eat up the entire 30,000 next year that we have set aside for that pod. So in talking with Miss Olson, we would be able to cover 40,000 this year in other line items and still not be close to going over budget. So my opinion would be
to make it
the
40
8
then.
plus 40.
All right.
That's my opinion.
I guess if you're not gonna go over budget, I have no problem making the motion amended to a $48,000 number.
Second that motion, Madam Chair.
Okay, is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you.
You have a
The ramp repair?
ramp repair? Oh, you're good.
Madam Chair, I'll tackle that one under my report.
Okay,
I was gonna pass that off to Mr. Ford.
very
sorry.
good. Thanks, Bill. Enterprise Fleet Management. Do we have some folks from Enterprise here? That we're gonna,
Good evening,
Thank you.
Chair and members of the commission. A couple weeks back, I was notified that Enterprise Fleet Management was going to appear on the agenda today. I know that Tom reached out to the sheriff's office for documents in regards to our fleet management through Enterprise. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to have some of their representatives come up and explain some of that paperwork. So they have a presentation for you.
Thank you. My name's Annalise Walsh. I wanted, well, Don, you
Sorry.
could say your name
Sorry.
too.
And I'm Donna Roller.
Sorry. All right, if you want to go through the presentation with me, I'll make it brief. We are Enterprise Fleet Management. We are a sister company of Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We work with over 2,400 government accounts across the nation. We have fulfilled the bid process through our partnership with Sourcewell. We are approved vendor through them. I have some references. Sorry, I'm going super quickly. We have references looking at different, both commercial and government accounts that we work with locally. Wanted to show that we work with, or our program, I should say, makes sense for both commercial and government as it is a cost saving program. The next one is why partner with Enterprise. We segment into 3 different motivations: financial, operational, and administrative. And what we're really looking at on the next slide is trying to find the best optimal life cycle for your vehicle. So looking at all the costs all in, and finding the best time to replace to drive down the total cost of ownership. The next slide looks at all of our program offerings. We offer everything from purchasing the vehicle, leasing, however you want to set up the financing, all the way through to selling the vehicle. We also have flexible funding options. So we have customers that prefer to do closed-end leases, which are more traditional dealership leases. We have open-end leases, which is what you have opted to do. And those are essentially a finance to a residual value to help you with cash flow. We also do have self-funding option where you pay for the vehicle upfront. The next slide is the original partnership plan, and why you guys decided to partner with us was for an operational cash savings. Our 10-year savings that we presented was just shy of $1 million. The average sustainable savings after that going forward was looking at $37,891. And this was looking at what you were doing prior to partnering with us, compared to replacing vehicles more proactively and more aggressively through our program. And of course, ask questions if any come up. The next slide looks at more how our leases are structured. So we take the vehicle price and we set a residual value at the end, and we determine your lease payments based off of that. The county owns the equity throughout the entire process of the lease. So it is a flexible lease where you can sell the vehicle at any time and you would own the equity. On that page also, we have the actual savings of purchasing versus leasing. We partnered in 2022 model year, so looking at the total from 2022 to 2025, our total savings is $662,195.04. The next slide goes through our resale part of our process. Because we are the sister company of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, we hand sell your vehicles for you, and our total resale benefit so far, we have performed 12%, almost 13% above auction or trade-in value, black book value, totaling $3,696 per vehicle. With the average sales price, we landed at $28,766 for the vehicles that we've sold so far. That is a very high-level summary. Do you have any questions for us?
I have some questions. This is we have a we're running four-year leases. Is that correct?
Leases are set up, most of them are 4 years, correct, Don?
And it depends on the type of vehicle, the use that it'll be.
Right.
During its life, yeah.
So are we, and the sheriff first doesn't even speak if they wish. So is the purpose of this to have a 4-year lease so that we recycle our vehicles every 4 years?
We target cycling the vehicle at the time that it makes sense. So you're not stuck to, if it's a 4-year lease, you have to cycle it 4 years.
Right. So that's the plan. We're on a 4-year plan. Okay. So if the price of the vehicle goes up, we would pay more, but also we would pay more interest because the higher price the vehicle goes, the more interest you pay on a loan. Correct?
That is how interest works.
I know that. Just want to make sure everybody knows that. Okay.
Yes.
That's all I got for now.
What's our current interest rate? What are we paying?
Your interest rate is fixed at date of delivery. We can provide interest rates for all of your leases. We follow the 3-year T-bill plus 300 basis points.
Oh, they're different on all.
Correct. It's fixed at the date the vehicle delivers for the entire duration of the lease.
You provided that by Mr. Ford. We gave you all that information. It was provided.
All right. I don't think there's any other questions. Dave, did you have anything that you wanted to add into the conversation?
I sent a letter yesterday.
We got it. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies. All right, Mr. Ford.
Oh, okay. Now's the time for comments, right? That was just a briefing.
Well,
Now I got my comments.
for it then.
Okay. And feel free to rebut me from anyone if I am incorrect in my calculations. I brought up the point as the vehicles go up in price, you're going to pay more because you're going to pay more interest. When you pay cash, you don't pay interest. If we go to paying cash for our vehicles, and by the way, I have no problem with cash flow. I'll cut whatever you need to cut to buy sheriff's cars. Don't have a problem with cash flow. Not in my world. So if we keep it at a 4-year cycle, there will be no change to the fuel cost, barring fuel charge. The fuel actually change the price, but I mean, the slide that you had, let me get the right forms out here, that stated this one, it was in there too, the original one, it states the fuel cost and maintenance cost. If we buy cash and stay on a 4-year cycle, then that's not going to change because we're just going to do it our way. I'm going to pick some round numbers here because I don't want to get into pennies. It gets So this isn't exactly the price, but I just want to,
I stopped making them anyways.
yeah. So, correct. If we buy a Tahoe for $51,000, between interest and fees, we're paying, and this is rounded off. I want to make it perfectly clear. Okay, so I'm not trying to cheat. That's 12, interest and fees are additional 12,500 for a total cost of 63,500 times 10. If we buy 10, if we have 43 vehicles and we go into a 4-year cycle, times 10 is 635,000. I took off at selling the equity at 25,000. On the chart, it had 22 to 27. So I went with the middle range. You recoup 250,000. So 635 minus 250 is 385,000. If we pay cash, 51,000 in the world of cash is 51,000 times 10 is 510,000. They say they get approximately 13% more. So instead of selling them at 25 to stay on the chart, I took that down to 22,000. We're going to get 3,000 less if that happens. That's 10 times that is 220,000. So 510,000 minus 220,000 is 290,000. 385,000 minus 290,000 would be a savings to the county of $95,000 a year. And once again, anybody want to rebut the math? Come on up. Could have got big figure on the calculator, but I just want to put that out there. That's 95,000 a year. We're spending extra by borrowing money versus paying cash. Sheriff has something to say.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, were you able to read the letter from Chief Deputy Stromberg?
I read everything.
Okay. So the reason that we are in this current position and that we are using enterprise with open-end leases is because the county didn't have enough money to buy the vehicles that we need to make sure that we stay operable, safe, and are able to respond to our citizens in the community. So if the county commission is willing to increase the sheriff's budget to purchase vehicles from 4 police pursuit vehicles to 8, 9, or 10 a year, I will gladly end all leases and we will take the money and buy them straight out.
In my world, I have no problem buying sheriff deputy cars. I'll just start cutting somewhere else. It's called priorities. So I got no problem. If you keep leasing, let's do a pod 1 update. You're flushing $95,000 a year. So it's all a matter of priorities. So I'm just telling you, we can do better. It's called prioritization. And in fact, we'd have to take some cash reserves at the beginning because we're going to owe these leases. We got to pay them down over time. So for a while, we're going to be paying even more. And then as the leases go away, then we'll start seeing the savings. Then we can replace the cash reserves, and then we'll start seeing the net savings every year after that. So I know what happened in the past. I wasn't here.
I completely agree with Commissioner Bierke. It is much cheaper to buy than it is to lease. But the reason that we've been working with Enterprise, we spoke with the prior commission for over 6 months, and now we've been dealing with a citizen, is the only reason we're here today, is a citizen that keeps complaining. For the last 18 months, the reason that we're here is because the county commission at that time didn't have the money to buy the vehicles we need to sustain a operable running fleet to serve the community. So if we have that extra money laying around, unless there's other places you want to try to defund the sheriff's office to buy these vehicles, I don't know where we're going to get that money. Thank you.
I also want to point out that, and by the way, you got 1 vote for funding deputy cars over a lot of the stuff we do. I believe, and I'm going to get to the Tahoe versus Ford debate next. I believe, though, on this issue, that the county administrator, the county auditor, and the sheriff or his designee should be on a committee. They should go through this lease analysis, what I've just gone. I want them to sign off on it. It's not Terry Bierke's numbers, it's going to be the county's numbers. Let them review the information. They would have to come up with a plan with spending cash reserves to begin with, because we're still going to owe leases for 3 more years. And then a plan on after that to recoup the cash reserve with the savings. And then after that, we would start seeing this. This isn't going to happen tomorrow. So it's going to take time. we also could look at what we would get. Maybe we can't get more in 22, but I did exactly what that form said. So no one can say I messed around the numbers to make it look good for my plan. And I think they could do that and bring that back to the second meeting in December, and have that outlined with showing the savings and when we would begin to recoup to be with it at. If a commission in the future doesn't want to fund the sheriff cars, then that should become very public and should become very citizen activated at that point. It's telling Mr. West to go out and shovel the roads. It's not feasible. He chuckled. That's because it's absurd. So it's on us to fix this problem. We will save money long-term. I got no problem taking the bull by the horns. So that's where I'm on that issue. Madam Chair, whenever you're ready, I want to get into the Tahoe versus Ford debate. Okay, on that issue, and same with this, I'm all about the math. In fact, for the sheriff and Mr. Stromberg, the city council member that eliminated police cars and went to all SUVs in the city of Grand Forks, I'll give you one guess who that was that led that fight. That was me. So I understand the intangibles, but I also want to see numbers. So I just want to run through some things, and this committee could do this too. Side note, when you upfit these units, is that upfit money leased or is that cash?
So initially, it would have been leased. When we rotate the cars out, we do it in the body model. We try to make it so the body style is the same. So we should get 2 vehicles out of all the equipment. So initially, yes, that first 4 years, that equipment would be on the lease. And then for the second vehicle, it would not be part of the lease.
That's what I thought. So 18 to 20,000 per vehicle, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so on top of the interest on the vehicle, when they upfit it, you're also paying interest on the 18 to 20,000 to upfit it, which that should be in cash also. So go ahead.
Well, yes, and part of the reason we did that initially is just because we went from upfitting 4 cars to upfitting 8.
Right.
So
I understand what happened, but I'm just
right. We should be able to control that a little better the further we move along.
Well, I just want to bring up, we shouldn't be borrowing money to upfit a vehicle. That's not good business. We should be paying cash for that. And once again, at some point, we got to start making some tough decisions up here. And I'm ready to go now. So I just want to bring the upfit. I read your letter, Mr. Stromberg, your 3-page email or whatever. Sit up here. We might have more discussion. You had mentioned in there that we needed to, on the Ford, potentially upgraded the engine and the fuel tank. I think that committee I'm asking for, if you could, you don't have to do it now, but go into more detail so that all the information could be brought when we come back in a month if we do this. And everyone, you could be in the packet so we can have time to read it and study it. But I think that should be in there. When it comes to mileage for the Ford, on the 2 documents I received, both said the same thing, NA not available. So I can't make a decision on not available. So we need to get what the Tahoe is 14 to 18 with a 24-gallon tank. The Interceptor is a 19-gallon tank, but there was no range on the fuel mileage. So I can't make a decision. So I need that information to compare how long they're out there. Go ahead if you got some.
Yeah, I mean, I would just point out that it's hard to do fuel mileage on police cars because we don't drive our vehicles like normal people.
No, I just take what they give you, and I get that.
Does Ford even provide?
I don't know those numbers off the top of my head, but when Dawn put together a cost comparison, looking at the 2 vehicles from a total cost of ownership, based on all of the data that we collect from all of our clients, it was a 1 penny difference between the 2.
Okay, I just think we should have all that information. So get the best we can from Ford. I would think they'd have it, just if you could. As far as the main, you mentioned some different maintenance issues. I know the highway patrol has Tahoes and Interceptors. So could we also bring yours and theirs together? And so we could just look at that. The resale, also between the highway patrol and get a couple counties, if we could look at the resale, what they resale the Tahoe for and what they resale the Ford for. I know the highway patrol has both. If you can't, I don't know what other count, but if we could maybe a couple more counties just for comparison.
Sure. The highway patrol is on a lease.
Yeah, well, we can teach the state a lesson here about how to buy vehicles when we're done. And maybe if we save them a ton of money, they'll take care of some of the stuff we need on unfunded mandates. Remember that, legislative committee chair. And then the current price for both. And so what I'm trying to do here is, I think I know where this is going to end up, but I'm a fact-driven number guy. And when somebody asks me something, I want to be fact-driven. I agree with your intangibles, so I get it. But I also want the numbers there too. The numbers I saw that you presented, they look pretty close. So then I'm going to always opt for the better operational product. But I want numbers too. So I hope you consider that fair. So I think that was, and Mr. Ford, I can run these off when we get done, and then I'll make sure you can read them before I leave. So that's what I'm looking for, to gather some information, come back in a month, discuss. I'm all on buying cash. Let's go. And then the vehicles, and then we'll come to the conclusion on both these matters and settle it. I'm ready, and I'll be ready to vote.
Madam Chair, I guess my concern is, what kind of a beating are we going to take during those 3 years where we're still subject to leases if we're buying vehicles at that point?
We'll take a beating for 3 years. If you keep leasing, they're going to take a beating forever. So you have a choice of getting pounded on for 3 years or getting the tar beat out of you for the rest of your life.
I'd rather get a couple body shots over the course of 20 years than take a first round knockout.
Well, it won't knock us out. It's called prioritization of your budget. And if something else has to go, we look through our budget. This is not as important. Hasta la vista, baby. It's about priorities. You're spending cash reserves to pay your light bill. We've got to start making some tough decisions.
That's a good point.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, just a couple points. I should take notes, but I'll just keep it brief. We can't serve the public if our vehicles are in the shop. The only way that the county could afford to get us in vehicles that are reliable and safe and we can respond was through the leasing program. That's why we're here. I, much like Commissioner Bierke, hope that we can get out of this someday, some point when the budget allows. On the point of forming another committee between myself, Ms. Olson, Ms. Nelson, and Chief Deputy Stromberg, we have spent in excess, I would say, of about 150 hours, 200 hours, probably enough time to buy 3 Tahoes. And if we want to form a committee and waste more of our time on that, then do as you wish. I'd rather just have you make a decision, decide what you want to do with this. As Commissioner Bierke said, this was done before his time. I stood up here almost every single commission meeting for over 6 months, answering questions of a commissioner or two. And we'd answer all their questions satisfactorily. And then it was, yeah, but. And eventually we got it through the finish line to get us into this program so we can serve the community at the level that we feel is desired, that they demand of us. So I would oppose a committee if Commissioner Bierke wants to get down to the nuts and bolts. We've given him everything that we have as far as paperwork. He says he's willing to put in the work. Let him be a committee of one, bring the paperwork to us, and we'll look over it.
I'll be happy to do it
wasted
myself
so much time on
and
that.
go to the auditor and Mr. Ford. If you or your designee don't want to be involved, that's fine with me. I'm giving you the opportunity. If you don't want to be involved, this isn't going to meet, it's going to meet forever for hours and hours. You've gotten the majority of the information. But if you want me to do it, I'll be happy to. I'll be with the auditor. I'll meet with Mr. Ford, and we'll bring some back in a month.
Yeah, I mean, we've just answered these over and over and over again. I just don't understand how many times we have to answer these questions. Thanks.
Hey, Andy, before you sit down, sorry, or maybe Dave would know. What would be the difference in our budget from right now to what we would need on an annual basis?
I think Ms. Olson or Chief Deputy Stromberg could answer that.
Thank you.
For next year.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to make a comment. I don't feel that it's appropriate to do this within the next 2 meetings. We're in November. December is the end of our budget year. Once we get into January, we can start having these discussions. Obviously, it doesn't mean that we can't determine to move away from lease into purchasing vehicles, but I just don't feel it's appropriate to have an expectation that this should be done within the next 2 meetings.
Members of the commission, these are just some rough figures, but if you were to do all the Explorers, to change out everything with the equipment, it's about $544,000.
Okay. I haven't said I want the Explorers yet.
No, I know.
I just want to be clear. I'm asking for data.
No, I know.
Okay.
Understood. And then I just have that on Explorers because that's just what has been the issue. So you're going to be looking at about that because we were replacing 8 vehicles. So it's looking about $800,000. If I can see it correctly. It's pretty small. So, and that's getting that's doing the leases and starting to buy the vehicles. Obviously, that's going to go down, but initially, if you're going to buy brand new vehicles and upfit these vehicles, you're looking at a large sum of money, and that's about the amount that you would be looking at.
Not a problem for me.
Madam Chair, I would just like to say that they were all Explorers when I left office. And so then there was all that cost to outfit all the Tahoes. So you're looking at the same thing. So.
You're correct. I would point out that we utilized the leasing program to make that change. So we lessened the yearly impact the budget impact yearly, if you see what I mean. We spread that out over the 4 years of that lease, or 3 years, depending on what we were doing. So, yeah.
Prior to the pandemic, Ford Utility Interceptors were much lower total cost of ownership and upfront price compared to the Tahoe. And over the last few years, that has changed. And that's why it makes the total cost of ownership very similar between the two. And many governments, not just Grand Forks, have transitioned from Ford Utility Intercepts over to Tahoes. There also have been severe supply chain issues with getting vehicles in general. And so we've had to also be creative to get vehicles in general. Fair enough.
I would just add, I think the last comment with the Tahoe Ford thing, again, I stood here and Bob kind of beat me up because we were buying cars from out of state. We are now running the ordering through Rydell, so that's local. If we went back to Ford's, we'd be out of Fergus Falls, again, out of state, so.
But Nelson Motors is also in Grand Forks.
You're correct. Their fleet division is out of Fergus Falls, so.
Okay, so what do you want to do? You guys are gonna make a decision. I know where I'm at.
Do you else have any comments about suggestions on what you want to do? Go ahead.
I would prefer to think about this. I want to get through the end of the budget year, the end of December. I want to wait, and does it make a difference if we do this in a month or we do this in another month or 2? I'm not trying to kick the can down the road. I want so that we can have a good thought process in dealing with this. This is not a day and night decision. This is a decision that takes some time.
I'm okay if Mr. Bierke wants to go ahead and do those numbers. I'm not going to make a decision right now about what we are going to do. If I'd like to do it. That's totally fine with me, but I feel like the staff here has done a really good job at finding and maintaining a way for us to get vehicles and paying for them affordably. I know the difference between cash and leasing is different, but I don't know where we're going to find $600,000 extra a
If
year.
I find it, will you vote for it?
If you can find 600,000 that isn't cutting essential things that we need in the county, I would love to talk about it. But
Guaranteed, got it done.
well, that's where we'll disagree. But if you would like to go ahead with the numbers and discuss them with us at a future meeting, I'm not.
No,
opposed
I just want to
that,
go on
but-
the record. We're losing $95,000 a year. If you guys don't want anything about it, I just want to get on the record. I've done my part. We're leasing when we could be buying. We could save $95,000 a year. You have to look long-term. That's what we're up here. Policy, long-term. If we don't want to look long-term, if you guys don't want to, that's fine. I'm on the record. I want to look long-term. I want to pay cash. I want to fix the problem.
And I don't disagree with you, but if you could show me where in the budget that we are going to take that money to give to them, then I can continue the conversation, but I don't know where else we are going.
I can give you one example right now. If we're willing to spend $700,000 in cash reserves just to keep our lights on, then we could take the money from cash reserves. As we save money, we could pay back the cash reserves. And then at that point, once that's done, then we'll actually be saving the money every year. And just remember, as the price of the vehicles go up, your leases are going to go up because you're paying interest on all that money. I wouldn't lease. Well,
Get behind that.
so it's out there. You guys decide. My conscience is clear.
I just don't want to get crushed for the next 3 years on leases. Other than that, though, I completely.
Sometimes we got to suck it up, Buttercup.
And I don't disagree. If you want to go ahead and see those numbers so we can look at them, I'm all for that. So if you would like to do that and come back to us, that would be great. So.
Just for clarification, the actual number is 820,000 is what we would need next year.
Is that including the upgrade of those vehicles, Mr. Stromberg?
The upfit,
Yeah. Would that be?
it would include the
Okay,
upfit, yes,
thank you.
correct.
How many was that again?
That would be 8.
Eight vehicles with the upgrades. So we're paying roughly with the upgrade about 100 apiece, roughly.
Roughly.
Yep.
I'll sleep well tonight. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll start with the building closure policy. Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. So based on feedback from the last commission meeting, you now have an updated proposed building closure policy. Just a little bit of, I'll be very quick on background on the inclement weather pay. It's currently at double time. It was negotiated between the Employees Association and County Commission meeting. I think this goes back before I started as well. Essentially, in the event of a blizzard, inclement weather, and the share closes county facilities, those employees, they're sent home. They're sent home due to safety. They're still paid for the day they are scheduled. You have the essential employees that, regardless if county facilities are closed or not, and admin employees are home, they're still showing up to work. So that was the compromise with the essential employees is the double time while facilities are closed. With that said, it's still staff's recommendation that whatever the board does with the storm or inclement weather pay, that the current inclement weather policy be repealed and replaced with this presented building closure policy. And I do want to also clarify the policy, neither policy has anything to do with the administrative pay or leave if the buildings are closed. That's still, that would still be my recommendation going forward. The chair closes facilities and sends admin employees home. They're continued to pay an admin leave. But this is a much more comprehensive policy, clear guidelines for safety and continuance of operational planning. As right now in your packet, you'll see that the building closure policy does not include inclement weather pay. And if you recall, Madam Chair, Commissioners, you had the three options discussed for continuing the double pay, which is what you're doing now, or you could change to the inclement weather stipend, or you could just opt for no more inclement weather pay, and you're expected to show up. But the policy as presented does not include inclement weather pay.
We discuss the inclement weather pay. Anybody?
There's the first 35,000 average we could save.
Is it 35,000? I thought it was like 14. 15,000?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Bierke, Commissioners, when I looked through inclement weather pay from 2022 on, obviously there's different categories. Correctional officers, $34,184. Highway, which is a little different, $6,200 for 2024. And then the SO was $32,079. So that's over a 5-year span. When you break that and you average that out, again, these are laws of averages, you're at $14,493 a year. That's over the last 5 years, just for the commission's awareness.
All right. Go ahead, Cindy.
Obviously, we have, particularly with the sheriff's department, correctional, youth, the YAC center, and the highway department. You know, I look at this total, and why are we trying to make a mountain out of a molehill? I mean, we have a $53 million budget, and we're looking at an average of $14,000 a year. Why are we making this so difficult? I mean, I understand that, you know, some may say it's not fair to me. I don't work in those particular roles. I get that. But when we're talking about individuals that have to be there because we have prisoners, we have youth that are there 24/7, we have roads that need to be plowed, we still want to make sure that we maintain safety within our county. I don't know why we're making such a big deal about this. I just don't get it.
So I've had no fewer than probably 25, maybe 30 telephone discussions with staff and whatnot about this policy. And I think if you even applied like a normal salary to what we do instead of the one we get, it would have already exceeded. I wonder if the juice is worth the squeeze. You know, we're going to have some very, and Mr. Ford will concur on this. We're going to have some very, very difficult decisions coming up when it comes to insurance, because there was no company, zero, that put in to insure us when we went to market. And with our budget looking the way it looks, like, I mean, obviously, like, ideologically, yeah, to me, the policy doesn't make a ton of sense, but I don't know if it's worth ending over that particular fiscal note when we're about to disappoint some people next time around when the insurance readjusts. So that would be kind of where I'm sitting at. I just don't think it's worth it. Even though it makes sense to remove, I don't think it's worth it.
Madam Chair. I think I was part of the 2014 discussion about the pay for inclement weather. Being as I'd been on the sheriff's department for darn near 40 years, I know what they were going through. I know what the jail went through. I certainly know what Nick West was going through with his crews and stuff. I guess I would, understanding all of this, I would just like to make the motion that we leave the policy the way it was.
Second.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the policy, the way it was, is they only got paid if the cob closes, correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Bierke, that's correct. If the cob in the courthouse closed because of, we'll just say because of a blizzard, while the cob and the courthouse are closed, so say if it's 8 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, the essential employees that still showed up to work while the facilities are closed received their essentially double time for the 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever duration the facilities are closed.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna vote for it, but I'm depending on the chair to be like last year, and we're not gonna see the cob closed. Thank you.
All right. We have a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Bierke?
No.
Ms. Beach?
Yes.
Mr. Rost?
Yes.
Yes.
I am also a yes. Motion passes 4-1.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'll work with Human Resources and we'll update that verbiage in the policy. Next item, I'll move along, is the parking ramp rehabilitation. So you probably recall as a board, the county hired Walker Consultants and AE2S to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the parking ramp. That assessment did identify some significant repairs. The commission did allocate $3 million of ARPA funds to fund those repairs. Phase 1, which was the most urgent critical, that has been completed. We are ready to move on to phase 2, which is to continue addressing what was in that assessment. So I'm requesting a budget amendment of $48,000 from parking ramp maintenance so that AE2S can continue providing the professional services. If you recall, we could not pay that out of ARPA funds because of the federal procurement process. So looking for a budget amendment of $48,000 from parking ramp maintenance.
Madam Chair, I would move approval of that motion.
Second.
I got a couple of questions. Do you know what the amount is on the parking fund right now is, Ms. Morstead? Well, while you're doing that, Mr. Ford, do we have any idea or I'm sorry, I guess I should ask Ms. Krusevsky, sorry. Do we have any idea on what we're looking at in phase 2? Just a ballpark? What we're looking at doing?
So everything we're entertaining for phase 2 was identified in that Walker Consultant study. The heaviest of that work it identifies door replacement on the stairway towers, which were not deemed as structurally critical of what the phase 1 repairs were. So where they're rusted out, where salt and calcium chloride has picked away at the structure on those doors, those will get replaced. There are some other concrete repairs that were not deemed as structurally critical. Those would be pursued, and there is a perimeter hand railing that was not structurally critical that was to be identified at a later time to be repaired. We're looking at that hand railing on level 3. There is one section of stairway in the southeast stairway, the open air stairway. There's one section of stairway that is also decayed because it's iron steel and the salt and calcium chloride has corroded away at that as well, where we have some porosity in that, or eventually it would become structurally critical, but being we still have the ability to work on this, those are identified within Walker's study, and we want to pursue those until we run out of the funding that we have available.
Bob, what do you think? No matter what we have, we're going to spend it all? And if that's the case, what are we looking at?
We would consume everything that we have in the ARPA money left, yes.
Oh, there's still ARPA money left then?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure. So this is all out of ARPA? So the only thing we're paying out of the parking ramp fund would then be the
professional
study.
Services.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right then, thank you.
Move approve.
Second.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Thank you. That kind of study in this, to be honest.
Chair Hagan, members of the commission, you're all pretty familiar with this project. I provided an update at the last meeting. This is to continue moving forward the compatible use study project that we got a grant for from the federal government for $600,000. A few weeks ago, the selection committee met and interviewed 4 different firms. The individuals on that committee were Commissioner Rost, our county planner, Lane Magnuson. We had representation from city planning and Ryan Brooks, and then North Dakota State Senator Jeff Barta, as well as Barry Wilford from the chamber. We had a lot of great proposals that came in, and the selection committee evaluated each of those firms based on a predetermined rubric and based on the proposals and interviews, and came out with the selection to recommend to the commission of Matrix Design Group, Inc., to move forward and be the consultant on the project to conduct this study. Again, this is a study that won't be out of county pockets at all. It'll be in kind in terms of our federal matching. But what we're asking today is that the commission approves that recommendation and allows us to enter into negotiations with Matrix Design Group, Inc. That way we can come back to you at hopefully that December 2nd meeting or 3rd, whichever the first day of the month is, first meeting of the month, with a final agreement for services that you would have to sign off on at that point, after we, of course, get State Attorney Wamstead's approval, and then we would be able to jump right into conducting that study once everything is signed. And Commissioner Ross, if you have anything to add, of course.
I think the interviews were great. I think we had 4 good companies that gave their presentations, and Matrix, of course, stood out over. In fact, that guy should be a motivational speaker, but the presentations were very good. I was very impressed. So they'll do a lot.
I'll move
Move for
to allow
the
the,
Matrix company.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously.
Madam Chair, the only other item was the capital improvements process. The board saw that in their board packet. We're just going to make some changes to be a little more strategic in prioritizing capital improvements moving forward. So myself, Ms. Morstead, Mr. Gashesky will review those, just visit with departments requesting the funds, and then make prioritization recommendations to the Public Safety and Infrastructure Committee in February. So that's all I have, ma'am.
Thank you. All right. Oh, State's Attorney, sorry, Miss Janice Wamstead, sorry. Okay, thank you. All right, committee reports, Mr. Bierke.
We had a fair board meeting. They reelected 5. There's 5 members on the board right now. If anyone's interested, feel free to check into that. We're looking for more members. They formed their committees, and this will go over well here. They reported their 9-month budget, and they're in the hole, so they're right on tune with us. They're 21,000 in the hole, so we're looking at doing that. And they're also working on getting a major sponsor for next year's fair, so hopefully try to get that thing turned around. Thank you.
Speech.
The Human Service Zone Board met today. We welcomed our new board member, Senator Jeff Barta. There has been some turnover with the zone. The foster care numbers are about at 98 kids, which is significantly lower than we've seen in previous years. SNAP is up to date. Staff did have to put in quite a bit of overtime to make sure that SNAP benefits were awarded in later November and in December. The meals increased. Those that have meals available throughout the area saw an increase of about 33% during the month of November due to some SNAP benefits being questionable. NDSU extension meeting met last week. Again, they are looking at some budget shortfalls due to some federal grant funding that they have had decreased. So that's been a concern. The library board meets tomorrow. And from the Human Resource Department open enrollment was completed yesterday. And there's only one individual that remains to complete their open enrollment. So I believe the HR department did a very good job in making sure that employees had all of the information they needed in order to process open enrollment. So that was a good thing. Also with Leroy going to the finance department and having less time available with the Human Resource Department, there needs to be some discussion being held about an additional staff person in the Human Resource Department. I've looked at some national statistics and state statistics with departments the size that we have. We should not be functioning on 2 FTEs. We should really be functioning at 3 FTEs. Thank you.
Okay, I had that compatible use study that I was involved in that took some time. And then well, what else did I have going? Trying to think here. I think that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah, the EDC. I didn't write anything down, so it must have been good.
Great.
And then we've got airport on Thursday. That'll probably be vibrant based on the news that just came out about the 4th flight and the city's involvement in that. And so I guess I'll be able to report at the next meeting on how that went, but I'm guessing you're all going to hear it in the news.
I don't have anything additional to add. There is a Red River Regional Council meeting tomorrow morning, so for next time.
I've never been here before, so there's something I wanted to address, but I don't know your guys' process.
So we will have citizen comments at the beginning of our meeting, and you're more than welcome to email or call or address any of us after the meeting.
I'm sorry that I didn't know the process and gonna be rude, but I'm not gonna sit down without saying something about it. I respect you very much.
No, I understand that, but if we let you do that, we're going to have to let other people do that, and we have no problem visiting with you afterwards, but we do have to stick to our process.
I have to do this because this is with your guys' funding. I'm sorry if that was not announced. That's how this works. You guys didn't have comment cards. You guys didn't explain the process.
We did at the beginning of the meeting, and we start at 4 o'clock every first and third Tuesday of the month in this meeting room, excuse me.
They explained it, did explain it. Again, I just, to go into it.
Ma'am, you need to follow the process.
I-
We meet coming up. Next time, she can get a comment card right there and fill out in advance. She'll be ready to go. But the chair is right. If we go down the road of start not following our rules, then we go to anarchy, not a fan. So we got to follow the rules.
If you stay after, I'll be more.
Oh, is there somebody that grabbed the comment cards?
Yep, they presented after the meeting got started.
Oh, she actually grabbed the comment cards? Got it.
No,
Okay.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Okay.
No, that just goes to show that there's things in your process that you guys need to address in order for us to be able to come up here and speak and have a voice. I've been respectfully and patiently waiting. And so, no, that was not explained.
Okay.
Okay, at the beginning, you go ahead.
No, and I understand and I appreciate your feedback, but those are our rules and those are the parameters that I've given you. And we cannot have people just come up and start speaking whenever they want, because there's lots of people. I know the Leak family, they'd probably like to come up here and tell us some more stuff, but we need to follow those rules and those guidelines. I understand that. I understand that. And I'm more than happy to talk with you. I'm more than happy to talk to you. Just in our meeting, in the way that it's formatted, we have to stick to those rules. But when we are done, I'm more than happy to talk to you. Absolutely. Okay. I'm sorry that you feel that way. I really am. Okay. I understand that there is no Grand Sky invoice.
Madam Chair.
Yes,
There is none?
there is no Grand Sky invoice. Okay. And is there any correspondence? I don't remember if there was.
Just on the beacon.
Okay.
Move adjourned.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.